Bottom of the hour on America's Forum. Francesca Page is here, and you've got a news update.
I do. Let's get to it, Jody. Well, this morning, President Obama said the U.S. is committed to provide permanent security for its NATO allies. Obama said that he will protect the Baltic nations from any kind of aggression, such as Russia's actions in Ukraine. He plans to send more Air Force units and aircraft to the Baltics. An oil services company, Halliburton, agreed to pay $1.1 billion settlement over its role in the 2010 Gulf of Mexico oil rig blowout. Meanwhile, in Arizona, a new police report says the 9-year-old girl who unintentionally shot and killed her instructor at a gun range told her parents the Uzi was too powerful and to hurt her after she fired it. Meanwhile, in California, a wildfire continues to rage near a community. Almost 750 houses are threatened.
A lot of tough stories out there, but we've heard in the business, always leave them with kids and dogs. However, this time it's not kids and dogs, it's dogs and cars.
Dogs and cars, that's right, JD. Autotrader.com has the top 5 vehicles for dogs. The site focused on dog-friendly features such as a low ride height and tailgate for easy access, full flat seats, underfoot storage, and a roomy cabin. They are to list a Subaru Outback, a Nissan Juke, Volkswagen Tiguan, a BMW X3, Volvo V60, Kia Soul, and the Honda Odyssey. Autotrader says 55% of visitors to its website seek out cars and trucks that can accommodate their dogs, and that 75% of its shoppers who have a dog take their pet in the car at least once a month.
Now, we don't want to betray any confidences here. We understand that you have a right to your private life, and yet you have your own little canine. Do you want to tell us about your little dog?
I do. I have a wonderful dog at home called Rocky, who is a toy Yorkshire Terrier. And actually, Rocky doesn't like to be a passenger in the car, even though he's small enough. He's probably smaller than one of the seats in the car at this stage. He likes to actually drive the car when it's not driving.
Well, that's right. He pretends to drive like a little kid.
He has to be up on the steering wheel.
Our outstanding production crew is efforting a picture. We know you put it in the email to those who put the program together. At some point before we say goodbye, we hope to have that image of Rocky driving the car.
The driving dog, yes.
Now, we didn't have that. We had, when I was growing up, a little Scottish Terrier, Benji. Before the movie came out, believe me, I was younger a long time ago. But Benji was quite the creative dog. It wasn't so much how he would ride in the car, but he'd go to the door and he could speak to us. He'd go, "I want out." He'd say, "I want out." And then he'd have a variation when you held up a snack, he'd go, "I want it."
Wow.
Really. It wasn't the same phrase. He distinctively said,
dogs.
"I want out and I want it." And so he was a great canine. And now at the Hayworth Hacienda, there's Lily, who resembles a Rhodesian Ridgeback, but we think is one of those interesting combinations that may include pit bull, but she's a delightful canine.
So my question for you is,
yes.
Do you think people look like their dogs? That's the famous conception out there at the moment.
Well, that was a great bit in Walt Disney's 101 Dalmatians.
Yeah.
And present company accepted. I have gone to school with people in the past and worked with people way in the past, so as not to create any problems here at work, who do bear an uncanny resemblance to their canines.
Well, I have a British dog, being a Britican. Well, it's actually a Britican dog now because it's here in the US.
That's right, you're a Yorkie.
So my Yorkie is a Britican like myself.
Well, one of the guys I admire so much, Sir Winston Churchill, in that brief encounter with the portrait photographer, Joseph Karsh, he was standing there, he was apparently in a sour mood, and he took that picture, and it's just the great determination of the British people. But is it wrong to say that Sir Winston in that picture kind of resembled a British bulldog? I mean, he was tough in that picture.
Well, they've got some good traits, those dogs. So no, I don't think so.
We can't continue letting this go to the dogs all by ourselves. That great canine lover Ed Berliner is standing by. Ed, we know you got plenty of stories about your great dogs, but you've got some great stories coming up on Midpoint. Tell us about both.
We will do that. Just remember that the most important thing to have a car with your dogs is the drool factor. Make sure that it's easily cleanable and everything is just really goes by the board from there. Let's get serious here for a minute because it has been a difficult couple of days here. Some questions that we need to ask. Can America work with Syria in order to defeat ISIS, and should we work with them? That seems to be the bigger question. General Michael Hayden is going to weigh in on that. He'll join us. Is Israel the next ISIS target? Think of what happens in the Middle East. Of course, our closest ally there. Is ISIS next going to be looking at Israel? The ruse by Barack Obama over immigration. It's an interesting one that he seems to have pulled the wool over most people's eyes. That'll be in the arena today. Groups are using Ferguson, Missouri to energize black voters, but are they doing it for all the right reasons? And coming up on my commentary and telling it like it is, I have one question. In light of what we have seen in the last couple of days with regard to ISIS and the butchery that they have taken hold right now and the fact that the world is watching, there is just one question that Americans need to ask themselves. We'll ask it. We'll get the answers. It's all coming up right here on Midpoint beginning at noon Eastern Time.
Ed, we look forward to that. There is a question on the minds of millions who join us right now, and that is, do we get to see the picture of Francesca's dog, Rocky? And the great, we have it right here.
There he is.
There is Rocky trying to drive. Now let's give equal time to Ed. Ed, if you're still there, you want to put in a plug for your pooches?
I can put in a plug for them. It's a Bailey the Beagle and Magnus the Norwegian Elkhound. That's 55 pounds a boy, 25 pounds of girl. And they just love to go on the ride several times a week. They get in the car, they sit, they're easy, and I don't let them drive.
Very good idea, Ed. We appreciate it. We're not going to let this go to the dogs any further. We'll be right back here on America's Forum.